Hi, this is Dawn with the Career Confessions. Today we're here with Dayne, a grain bin tech. Hi, Dayne.
Hello. How are you? Mm.
Today you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a grain bin tech.
My school does volunteer service hours. We did that one day and you could stay the whole day. Well, then the next time you're supposed to get a request form for it. I didn't and I ended
Mhm.
up staying. Well, then they called my parents and were like, hey, Dane's skipping school. Uh, person in the town noticed like my work ethic and started talking around. And the company I work for, they're, they ended up hearing about it. They called me in for an interview, and that's where that started.
Well, that's good. So basically, you were drawn into it. It wasn't something that you were considering, and then it just kind of fell in
Yeah,
place.
yep, fell in my lap pretty much.
So, what's a typical day look like for you?
Depends on where in the year, I guess, the season you're at. If you're in the beginning of the season, concrete work pretty much every day. If in the middle of the season, that's typically where we're actually building the bins and all that fun stuff. And near the end, it's not a whole lot of stuff to do, so they'll do some service work. But it's a farm center, so they also do applications of like pesticides and stuff like that, fertilizer and hydros.
Okay, yeah, so you pour the concrete too. I saw that in the video I was watching where they put the concrete down first.
With the concrete, there's a rat barrier, and that's the trench you'll see. That's a foot or 2 feet wide, roughly. And that goes down like an extra 2, 3 feet, about 2 feet from the rest of it. And then the whole pad, the surface is roughly 4 or 5 inches. That's all there really is. And it's just rebar about a foot apart in a grid pattern. It's pretty typical.
I was gonna ask what do is it metal and you kinda shape it or
The customer will pick a spot. I want a grain bin here. We'll put a stake in the ground. We'll take a tape measure for a 24-foot bin. I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's like 13 feet or something like that. They'll take on the tape measure. They'll put one end on that stake and they'll draw a circle pretty much around the bin. Once they get it where they want it, we take a mini excavator, and that's what digs the trench. We'll leave a little bridge in the trench almost, and we'll take a skid loader and go up and down in the pad that and put gravel there the whole time. Then we take a board, we put one end on the forms and one on the pipe, and then and there's another board. Not very good at describing it, but one board slides across the forms, and there's a board that hangs down. That board, no gravel can be above it, so that levels out the gravel. We'll take that board off, we'll put a vibrator on that top board, and then we can pour the concrete into it.
and that's how you build the height of it? You just keep
That
is
that's
that
just
the
for the
shape?
foundation. That's just
Oh,
the
that's just for the
foundation.
foundation.
Yep.
Okay.
So and after we pour the foundation, we'll take, L bolts. You probably know what those are?
Yep.
Well, whoever's still in the pad, they'll crouch down, put a tape measure in the center above that pipe. One guy walks on the outside, they'll put a bolt in, they'll take a second tape measure, put it up against that previous bolt, and they just keep doing that. So you got one tape to the center, one to the previous bolt. Where they match up, they'll put another L bolt. They do that for every anchor on the grain bins. The anchors are put in before we actually start building a bin.
Okay, and so what do they build, like, from the bottom and they just go higher and higher as you build, or you build from the top down?
So you would think you start on the bottom and go up, but actually what we
Yep.
do, we put all the jacks and stuff on the pad, and we put that very top ring up, a pipe in the center to hold the roof. We slide up the
Mhm.
roof sheets. We'll build the roof, then it jacks the whole thing up. We'll put that second ring on. We'll push all the bolts for it. Then we go around and tighten the whole thing. They'll drop the jacks down to that new ring. They're hydraulic jacks. It beats the crank jacks that they used to use. They'll lower
Mhm.
those hydraulic jacks down to that new ring level, which each ring's about 4 feet tall. It goes down to
And
that new height, goes down to that new height of about 4 feet. If it's still lighter sheets, they'll put two bolts in and they can lift the whole thing. On the heavier sheets, they'll slide the jacks over slightly. There will be one bolt they can't tighten right behind the jack, and then it's two bolts on either side. So it's four bolts per jack. Foot bin, I want to say eight. It's eight jacks they use on a 48-foot grain bin, the diameter. You'll keep doing that on a 48-foot 10 ring bin. That's 40 feet in the air, counting the roof. Those bottom sheets, just an individual sheet, how much do you think that weighs?
really wouldn't know. It's metal, right? Is it thin
Yep.
metal? It looks like it's like a thin metal, so would it weigh like a 50 pounds? 100?
Might be the top. It's about
Oh,
200. So the very top ring is roughly about that 100, 150-ish. The bottom ring for a 48-foot grain bin is 263 pounds per sheet.
so how do they move them? With the machine? With the crane?
I wish. No, you have 2 guys. They'll pick up the sheet and you walk across the bin. The worst spot are behind the jacks because you set it down, and then you gotta slide the whole thing. That's not a lot of fun.
That doesn't sound fun. That seems like a lot of weight. How many people are working on one bin, like, as you're building it?
For us, 6, 7 guys, but near the beginning with the smaller bins, it can be 4, 5.
Does it take a long time to build one?
You would think it would, but it takes longer for the concrete to harden than it does to throw the whole thing up.
It looks like it would take forever because 'cause they're so tall.
Just putting it up takes about 3-ish days, 3, maybe 4 if we're going real slow. Then putting the floor in would be 2, 3 days, so a week with the bin and the
Oh, then
floor.
once it's up, that's it? It's complete?
Then the electrician comes in and whatnot. The electrician
Okay,
does all
and
the
oh, okay.
electrical fun stuff. We don't do anything with that.
Mm.
We'll build the whole thing. Each bolt lines up exactly on a seam. Sometimes on a odd ring, like an odd number of rings, like 7 or 9, you don't put the seam of the top ring right next to the bolt. You slide it over, I think it's like 7 holes or something like that.
Now, once it's built, now you also move them sometimes?
Typically, we'll build them right where they're gonna stay for pretty much ever, but occasionally a
Mhm.
farmer will be like, "I want a bigger bin, that one's in the way," and they'll sell it to somebody else. When that happens, we will take off the jacks and we split it. Well, we'll get a crane there. The crane will lower the winch through the very top manhole where you put the corn and whatnot inside the bin. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? How there's 2? There's one at the very peak and there's a man.
On the top of it.
Uh, on the very top of a grain bin, there's a bigger hole. That's typically where, like, augers get backed up to, and they'll feed the corn into the bin. Then you
Mhm.
got the manhole, which is typically to the right of the ladder, if you have a ladder going up the side of a grain bin, which in my 3 years of building them, we've only ever put 1 ladder on a brand new bin, so those are kinda going out of style, but it's mostly just
The people just like, a machine to go up into it?
no, typically, you'll have a staircase that winds up the bin. They'll typically take that. There's not a lot of bolts that hold those up.
Yeah.
The platform, which is what I typically build, there's a lot of bolts on it, but connecting it to the bin is, I think, 6 half-inch bolts. In each brace, there's 1 brace per staircase. There is 2, 3 bolts at most per brace that connect to the bin. That's what holds up
Yeah.
the staircase. For the ladder, it's each segment connects, where each ring is, there's a support, 1 bolt into the bin, 1 to the ladder. That's on both sides
Mhm.
of the ladder.
Are they durable? Do they ever need repairing? Or is it just basically once built, it's pretty durable.
Once you build a bin, it's gonna stay pretty good. Occasionally, you'll get wind damage, which, will, like, bend a sheet or something. I've got a picture of that. We had to take 21 sheets off a bin, which is all but it was 3 different rings, 5 sheets on the bottom ring, all but 2 on the 3rd and 2nd ring. That's what the 21 sheets we had to take off. We took each one off individually, and we'll slide up the next one. You can also take the whole ring off, you'll lower the whole bin, next ring, lower it, next ring, and you keep doing that. And when you get to the problem sheets, you take those off, replace them, and redo the whole bin. Or not redo it, but put
Oh.
those old sheets back up and lift it. Occasionally, you'll see those, like, beams on the outside. There's roughly, like, 2 or so per sheet you'll see, and they'll go all the way around the bin. Those are stiffeners. You'll typically if any bin that is over 10 rings, 48-foot wide bin, once you hit 11 rings, automatically you put stiffeners on it. And a good rule of thumb is once you get taller than the bin is wide, that's when you'll start putting stiffeners on it too. And that just sorta helps.
What's that helps hold it tight?
Yeah, it keeps the shape better and the wind won't quite bend the sheets as much or the corn won't push out the sheets. On a stiffened bin, the sheets near the bottom get a whole lot lighter, which is really nice. We had a 48-foot 13 ring bin. The bottom sheet was 40 pounds lighter than a 48-foot 10 ring bin without stiffeners. So there's a little bit less weight to those rings.
Now, when you're carrying those sheets,
Yep.
you have to really because they'll slice you open, right? Are they like sharp at the end or not?
So typically, you don't really wear gloves because then you can't quite hold the bolts. It's been a few
Oh,
weeks since we did the last bin. When
mhm,
it's really in the metal work, since I do a lot with the platform, that's real thin stuff. I'll have like a bunch of lines across my hands that are just real small cuts. The sheets
yeah.
themselves, you can get cut from them, but normally you won't because like when you're pushing it to get it behind a jack, you've got a punch. You'll put that through a hole, one of the bolt holes, and that's how you drag it. So you're not like taking your hand and sliding it. On a platform, there's
Uh,
nothing to really do there. You just grab it and hope it don't cut you.
mhm. And now do you work year round? Is it a position like you would work year round, or do you have, like, in
Um,
the I don't know, I'm not sure where you're from, like, you must have colder months though, right? I'm assuming?
yeah, Iowa, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not year round, like was kind of saying. We've hit the end, so we haven't built a bin in 3 weeks, roughly,
Mhm.
give or take. And
Yeah.
it's relatively summer once school's out, a little bit before then to halfway through October. September
Okay.
ish is roughly when we'll get done.
That's nice. So you just work really hard during the summer.
Yeah, I do. Which, since they're a farm company pretty much, and they have the other
Mhm.
stuff, like spring, fall, they'll do some anhydrous work, which, uh, my boss was talking to somebody about that, and I overheard the price for like a 3,000 gallon tank. I don't know if that's running gear included, the wheels. It's a $60,000 tank for a 3,000 gallon tank. It's
Oh, wow.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
expensive.
that's just the tank. That's not like filling the tank to the farmer. That's for
Yeah.
the company to buy that tank.
Is that for the work that it takes to put everything together, or is that just the
So
material?
we just got in a bunch of double 1,500 tanks, which is 2 1,500 tanks and then the running gear. We have to put the running gear together. That's what a bunch of the truck drivers are doing. So they're kind of slowing up on things. I think there's like 6 of those that they just got.
Mhm.
I don't know how much those cost. I don't know how much of an exaggeration this is, but one of my coworkers was saying the 1500s, the doubles, when they are empty, just with the running gear and the 2 tanks, they weigh more
Mhm.
than the double thousands when they're filled.
Oh, okay. So
So
they're
it's like 2,000 gallons or units or whatever of anhydrous in those double 1,000 tanks. That apparently weighs less than what the empty 1,500s and their running gear weighs.
That's interesting. You'd think it would weigh more.
Hydrous is relatively heavy, I'd think. I don't get into the anhydrous a whole lot since I'm only 18.
Now, is
So
this something that you wanna continue, or from being in this type of work, is there something that you're gearing towards maybe different type of trade, or is this something that you really enjoy and that you consider staying in because 'cause you're only 18?
I have looked at a few other things, like, for a little bit, I looked at trying to go, like, full-time as one of the applicators. I've also looked at union electrician, union plumber. Currently, I have a application out to, operator union, heavy equipment operator union.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do they have training programs when you're in high school? I'm in Massachusetts. We have trade
Uh,
programs. You start them in high school. In high school, you could say, "I wanna be an electrician," and they can put you into a program that kinda gives you an opportunity to see if that's something you would even like. I didn't know if they have that in the state that you're in.
so in Iowa, we don't really have anything like that, or at least not the part of Iowa I'm from. However, we do occasionally have career fair kind of things where they'll take us somewhere and there's just a bunch of different unions that are like, "Hey, this is what our union does. Try it out." Pretty fun stuff is roughly what they'll do.
Oh, we have those here too. Now that you applied for the union, would you just sit back and wait? Is
Yeah,
it
pretty
something you
much.
just wait to hear from them? What would that
Like,
be, an apprentice program you would go into? So is the field that you're in a field that they're always hiring for? They always need more people and maybe they're short staffed?
they hired, I think 2 years ago was the last guy they hired. I've been there 3 years, more or less, which I'm still the youngest. The most
Yeah.
recent guy is a year older than me, but then everyone else is, like, 26, roughly, and then there's a few guys who are in their 70s on the big crew.
Wow, that's a big age gap.
Yeah, which most of them, like, all the 26-year-olds, there's 2 of them are brothers, one of them is their cousin, and then some high school friends pretty much. They've all known each other for years.
So that's good. You guys are like a family. There any women that work on the trade?
Not on the bin crew where I work. However, there are some women who do the bin construction. We'll subcontract a couple bins, a 60-foot bin. We don't have enough jacks to do that. The crew that does
Mm.
that, they do have a female on their team.
We're always promoting women in the trades. Do you have any advice for people starting off? But you are starting off, which is exciting though. Get
Yeah. Uh, Advice for starting off though, the big thing really is it's construction, so there's plenty of time to get on your phone waiting on a concrete truck or something. But when a concrete truck shows up or you're still forming, the phone, that's the biggest thing. You gotta know when to get off the phone. But for the most part, there's a
away.
lot of downtime.
In between, put something down and then you have to wait for it to
Yeah,
settle?
like with concrete, so we'll form it, we gotta wait maybe an hour or so for a concrete truck to show up. We'll take our lunch, get on our phones, take a nap, do whatever. Once the truck does get there, you gotta kick it in gear. When we're lifting the bin, you just get set up to do the next thing. It takes like a minute to go up that 4 feet. While it's lifting that 4 feet, there's 3 different stages for it that they'll throw a pin into the jack, lower it slightly. Then they take a block, the jack keeps going down, they'll throw the block back on it. I don't do a whole lot on the inside, so I don't quite know how to describe that process.
Is it a rewarding job? I would think that when you're first starting and you're putting a bin together, it must be rewarding at the end when it's complete.
It's pretty cool to see. I kinda like heights, so I typically volunteer to put that a rubber padding almost on the lip for the manhole. So I go up pretty much I climb up to the top of the bin almost every time and do that. So I get a lot of nice views, which I like. That feels pretty rewarding.
You wear a vest with, like, with tools on it up there?
While we're building the bin, we might have a pouch, but that pouch typically just holds some bolts. If we need like an impact or something, there's belt clips on those. Typically, there's 1, 2 at most you can put on your belt, and you just kind of hold them or set them down.
Is there anything you would like to add that would be of interest that someone not knowing, like, what a grain bin tech does?
It's relatively easy to get into. I mean, I'd recommend it. It uh, Even if you're scared of a height, there's not a whole lot of climbing up you'll do.
You choose to go up and climb up, but, some people probably choose to not go to the top. If you had a theme song, what would it be?
Uh, I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot of songs. Occasionally, the time to do some sketchy stuff. That little tune.
Which one is it?
Time to do some
Do I
sketchy.
see, I don't even know. I'll have to listen to it. I've never been down that way or up that way. I'm not sure. I'm in Massachusetts, yeah.
We're like Midwest, like center of the U.S.
I've never been out that far. Maybe someday, though. I'm gonna do some traveling. Maybe I'll get out there.
A lot of
But
cornfields.
yeah. Is
So
I would think of that that horror movie, the cornfield movie? You know the one with is it where they go into the cornfields? I can't think of the name of it. It's like a Halloween scary movie. I can't think of
who
it.
knows?
Like,
Okay.
good luck with the union. Alright. Well, thank you.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Have a good
See ya.
night.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.